Let us now move towards the bureaucracy part 2. The seasoned bureaucrat. A typical seasoned bureaucrat boasts of his power all the time, more so among his peers. You know, I kept the plane waiting for me for an hour, one would say. Oh, this is nothing, another would boast. I just called up the station master of the village to halt the superfast express train at the station till I boarded it after finishing my meeting and lunch. This boasting is always embedded in negativity. I have yet to hear an IAS officer saying how he overruled a negative opinion given by a dozen of his subordinates. Perhaps I'm afraid they do not know what is the real power. A seasoned bureaucrat is very good in the interpretation of rules. These rules, especially in the accounts departments in most of the Indian universities, are not written down like the British Constitution in one single document. After all, how can they give up the British system ingrained in their genes? With every new person, the interpretation and implementation changes. One section officer says sign on each page. His successor says sign not only on every page but also on every bill pasted on each page. Without ever studying the law, the seasoned bureaucrat has mastered the art of interpreting rules merely by virtue of his lengthy service. Whenever he is consulted, he utters just one sentence: show me the man and I show you the rule. He always thinks that his power lies in saying no to any appeal made to him. He does not have the courage to go against the note and remarks made by his deputies down the line. In other words, bureaucratic procedures affect his capability to apply his mind and think positively. A very unique characteristic of this bureaucrat is that he gets the work done by others but takes its entire credit to himself. He makes himself indispensable by not allowing his subordinates to take any decision. Perhaps you would not believe. Just last week in a public sector bank, the lady peon rushed to the manager's cabin when I asked her where the washroom was. The manager's permission was required for any outsider to use the bank employee's washroom. A seasoned bureaucrat may not be the chief executive, but he rules the office sheerly due to his mastery over judging people through common sense. Remember, he always sees the man approaching him for help through his boss's eyes. He tells you the rule as if he is the epitome of justice. You have to approach him through the right person. Without any such influence, he will never tell you any provision that will give you the rescue remedy. Being a very shrewd bureaucrat, he would first scare you by creating a barricade of sections, subsections, and the sub-subsections of rules. With one look at your face, he decides whether to tell you the proviso that helps you skip these subsections. He has the capability of justifying every provision because, heart of hearts, he is aware of the escape routes. He knows how to delay decision making, how to ensure that your paper goes to the right man, how not to get caught into the tangle of rules, etc. You never know when he would change his mind and alter his decision with a single stroke of his pen. There are ample number of cases of such bureaucrats who rush to the ministers and the CEOs in the middle of the night for getting their approvals in writing. The seasoned bureaucrat does not mean what he says. These tactics are not limited to any particular office. The bureaucratic mindsets are everywhere, even in private sector companies. The private educational institutions and corporate companies are more bureaucratic than the government offices. There, the big brother's permission is required even to speak to your colleague sitting next to your table. Suspicion is the order of the day. In subtle ways, people ignore or disobey the persons whom the boss does not favor. Suspicion percolates through the chain of command. This chain generates ample free time for people to spy on others from various angles. Most importantly, to see who's friendly or unfriendly with whom. This knowledge comes handy in implementing the divide and rule policy, so very essential to run any institution, from a joint family to a housing society, and from a factory to a college, and then the entire country. Seasoned bureaucrats help the ministers play musical chairs. This is because in a pseudo democracy, ministers and officers' portfolios change overnight at the big boss's whims. The rules change when the ministers change. Ironically, it is the seasoned bureaucrat who advises the ministers to change the rules. There is actually no hard and fast rule about creating a rule. Ministers may come and ministers may go. The administration is run by the seasoned bureaucrats who generate the rules. These ministers and their bureaucrats have ensured a never ending source of a fabulous income for our lawyers. The hanging bureaucrat. He is either waiting for his transfer or the office order extending his service after retirement. His subordinates are counting days to give him a send off. But he is trying his best to convert a farewell into either a welcome or a felicitation by getting redesignated as the officer on special duty. That is OSD. I bet nobody knows what the special duty is. Perhaps not sitting idle at home and attending office every day is the very special duty assigned to him. In the intermittent period, he keeps his secretary more busy by delegating all the work of keeping off his visitors, new clients, and customers. After entering the office in the morning, the hanging bureaucrat hangs his coat on the chair. He is then free for all day to make his social visits during the office time. His secretary can easily point out to his coat and tell the visitor that he has gone for an emergency meeting in the HQ. The number of hanging bureaucrats has gone on increasing after the fifth pay commission nearly doubled the salaries of all officers. Now, nobody wants to retire. After all, once you are used to eating a jam sandwich, swallowing a dry bread is just out of the question. The number of OSDs is on the rise when the minister's portfolio is changed suddenly. As the ministers enter the trapeze in the power circus, all decision making comes to a standstill. The offices become empty during the times of a hung parliament and also when the elections are declared. Everybody goes on election duty and the election code of conduct comes into force. For a change, people are happy and relaxed. They have absolutely no work, and the bureaucracy is on a holiday till the new government comes to power. So, my dear Indian friends, make the most of your bureaucracy free time for the next few weeks.